Good morning. Let's start our service by singing hymn number 423. Give me, O Lord, an understanding heart, that I may learn to know myself in Thee, to spurn the wrong and choose the better part, and thus from sinful bondage be set free. Hymn number 423. The Scriptural will be given by Pilar from New York.
Psalms. Though the Lord be high, yet has he respect unto the lowly, but the proud he knoweth afar off. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, thou wilt revive me. Thou shalt stretch forth thine hand against the wrath of my enemies, and thy right hand shall save me. The Lord will perfect that which concerneth me. Thy mercy, O Lord, endureth forever. Forsake not the works of thy own hands. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well.
We will now have a moment of silent prayer and follow with the Lord's Prayer and its spiritual interpretation as given in the Christian Science textbook. Our Father, which art in heaven. Our Father, Mother God, all harmonious. Hallowed be thy name. Adorable One. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom is come. Thou art ever present. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Enable us to know, as in heaven, so on earth, God is omnipotent, supreme. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us grace for today. Feed the famished affections. And forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And love is reflected in love. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And God leadeth us not into temptation, but delivereth us from sin, disease, and death. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. For God is infinite, all power, all life, truth, love, over all and all. Let's now sing hymn number 141. If the Lord build not the house, they that labor build in vain. Father, may our cornerstone stand foursquare without a stain. Hymn number 141. Welcome to the Sunday morning service of the Plainfield Christian Science Church Independent. We begin each Sunday morning here at 10 a.m. with our roundtable discussion, and we had a really good one this morning, so if you missed it, please check it out on our website, plainfieldcs.com. We also have a Sunday school for children every Sunday morning at 11, and that class is conducted via a teleconference number that we provide for just that purpose. So your child can attend our Sunday school no matter where you live. Just call us. We'll be happy to give you the number and very happy to welcome your child to our Sunday school. And every Wednesday evening, we have a testimony meeting at 8:15, where you can hear testimonies of healings and lives saved through the study and practice of Christian Science. And there's a nursery available for the very young ones at all of our classes and services. You can find us not only here in Plainfield, New Jersey, but also on our website, plainfieldcs.com. We have a channel on YouTube, and we have a lot of things for you on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And it's all provided free of charge. And it goes with the love of this church to the entire world. There is an article featured on our website that I would like to point out. They sound a little radical, but it will be very helpful, short and sweet to read. It's entitled, "There is no Law of Death." And its author is Herbert W. Eustace, one of the fine old-time workers. And let's see, next Saturday there will be another Bible study session, so check the website for Bible study questions, and please join us. That's next Saturday at 10 a.m. You won't want to miss it. Everyone is welcome here, and that includes all of you who are participating and listening from around the world. And now we will have the reading of a testimony from Miscellaneous writings, which attests to the healing power obtained just by studying the Christian Science textbook. And that reading will be given this morning by Jeremy.
Page 454 of Miscellaneous Writings. I am an old school practitioner, have served as surgeon in 2 European wars, practiced medicine for about 10 years in New York City and Brooklyn, until my health compelled me to relinquish my profession. I became a victim of the morphia habit, taking daily 30 grains of that drug. My physicians declared me consumptive and abandoned all hopes of recovery. Shortly after this, I made the acquaintance of a student of the author of Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, who presented me with her works. And as drugs did me no good, I stopped taking any whatever, save morphia, without which I thought it impossible to get along. And, to my astonishment, began to gain in flesh, and my ambition returning in proportion. I finally felt that I would stop my loathsome habit of morphia eating, and did so in 1 week, without any discomfort worth mentioning. For a test, I administered 1/4 of a grain of morphia to the aforesaid scientist, hypodermically, without the slightest physiological effect, clearly proving the existence of metaphysical laws. I have read Science and Health carefully and consider my present improved health solely due to mental influence. Otto Anderson, MD, Cincinnati, Ohio.
The lesson sermon for this morning can be found on page 16 of the Independent Christian Science Quarterly. Subject, mind. The golden text is from Psalms. I will instruct thee, and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. The responsive reading, Isaiah. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. And the ransomed of the Lord shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Florence from Georgia will now read.
I will read from the Bible, Proverbs. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom, and apply thine heart to understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge, and liftest up thy voice for understanding. If thou seekest her as silver, and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord, and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord giveth wisdom. Out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment, and preserveth the way of his saints. 1 Kings. And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And this speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked
the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding, exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, and he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all the kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. Job. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my word shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with thee. Behold, God is mighty, and he despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. Yea, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. He openeth also their ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. Matthew. The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together unto him, and he spake many things unto them in parables. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Mark. And they bring unto him one that was deaf, and had an impediment in his speech, and they beseech him to put his hand upon him. And he took him aside from the multitude, and put his fingers into his ears, and he spit and touched his tongue. And looking up to heaven, he sighed and said unto him, Ephata, that is, be opened. And straightway his ears were opened, and the string of his tongue was loosed, and he spake plain. Isaiah. Is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest? And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity, and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. they also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine.
Amanda from Missouri will now read.
I will read correlative passages from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The starting point of divine science is that God, Spirit, is all in all, and that there is no other might nor mind, that God is love, and therefore he is divine principle. Divine metaphysics, as revealed to spiritual understanding, shows clearly that all is mind, and that mind is God, omnipotence, omnipresence, omniscience. That is, all power, all presence, all science. Hence, all is in reality the manifestation of mind. Mind, the only I or us, the only spirit, soul, divine principle, substance, life, truth, love. The one God, not that which is in man, but the divine principle, or God, of whom man is the full and perfect expression. Deity, which outlines, but is not outlined. Mind alone possesses all faculties, perception, and comprehension. Therefore, mental endowments are not at the mercy of organization and decomposition. Otherwise, the very worms could unfashion man. If it were possible for the real senses of man to be injured, soul could reproduce them in all their perfection. But they cannot be disturbed nor destroyed, since they exist in immortal mind, not in matter. Eyes. Spiritual discernment, not material, but mental. Jesus said, thinking of the outward vision, having eyes, see ye not? Mark 8. Ears, not organs of the so-called corporeal senses, but spiritual understanding. Jesus said, referring to spiritual perception, having ears, hear ye not? Mark 8. Sight, hearing, all the spiritual senses of man are eternal. They cannot be lost. Their reality and immortality are in spirit and understanding, not in matter, hence their permanence. If this were not so, man would be speedily annihilated. If the five corporeal senses were the medium through which to understand God, then palsy, blindness, and deafness would place man in a terrible situation, where he would be like those having no hope and without God in the world. But as a matter of fact, these calamities often drive mortals to seek and to find a higher sense of happiness and existence. When Jesus declares that the light of the body is the eye, he certainly means that light depends upon mind, not upon the complex humors, lenses, muscles, the iris and pupil constituting the visual organism. According to Christian Science, the only real senses of man are spiritual, emanating from the divine mind. Thought passes from God to man, but neither sensation nor report goes from material body to mind. The intercommunication is always from God to his idea, man. Matter is not sentient and cannot be cognizant of good or of evil, of pleasure or of pain. Man's individuality is not material. This science of being obtains not alone hereafter in what men call paradise, but here and now. It is the great fact of being for time and eternity. The unreality of the claim that a mortal is the true image of God is illustrated by the opposite natures of spirit and matter, mind and body. For one is intelligence, while the other is non-intelligence. The time has come for a finite conception of the infinite and of a material body as the seat of mind to give place to a diviner sense of intelligence and its manifestation. To the better understanding that science gives of the Supreme Being, or divine principle and idea. As mortals reach, through knowledge of Christian Science, a higher sense, they will seek to learn, not from matter, but from the divine principle, God, how to demonstrate the Christ, truth, as the healing and saving power. It is the prerogative of the ever-present divine mind and of thought which is in rapport with this mind to know the past, the present, and the future. Acquaintance with the science of being enables us to commune more largely with the divine mind, to foresee and foretell events which concern the universal welfare, to be divinely inspired, yea, to reach the range of fetterless mind. To understand that mind is infinite, not bounded by corporeality, not dependent upon the ear and eye for sound or sight, nor upon muscles and bones for locomotion, is a step towards the mind science by which we discern man's nature and existence. It should be thoroughly understood that all men have one mind, one God and Father, one life, truth, and love. Mankind will become perfect in proportion as this fact becomes apparent. War will cease, and the true brotherhood of man will be established. Having no other God, turning to no other but the one perfect mind to guide him, man is the likeness of God, pure and eternal, having that mind which was also in Christ. God is the creator of man, and the divine principle of man remaining perfect. The divine idea or reflection, man, remains perfect. Man is the expression of God's being. If there ever was a moment when man did not express the divine perfection, then there was a moment when man did not express God, and consequently a time when deity was unexpressed, that is, without entity. The relations of God and man, divine principle and idea, are indestructible in science, and science knows no lapse from nor return to harmony, but holds the divine order or spiritual law in which God and all that he creates are perfect and eternal, to have remained unchanged in its eternal history. There is more Christianity in seeing and hearing spiritually than materially. There is more science in the perpetual exercise of the mind faculties than in their loss. Lost they cannot be, while mind remains. The apprehension of this gave sight to the blind and hearing to the deaf centuries ago, and it will repeat the wonder.
Let us now have a moment of silent prayer for our world. Let's now sing hymn number 157. Jesus' prayer for all his brethren, Father, that they may be one, echoes down through all the ages. Nor prayed he for these alone, but for all, that through all time God's will be done. Hymn number 157.
me. When I came face to face with sin in my own hell, my selfishness and fearfulness became a grave to me. Wasn't much of me that I would care to save. All that I could do was hope for salvation and listen to faith whisper in my silent tomb. Then suddenly the veil that I was sleeping under was torn back as with a clap of thunder Christ has rolled away the stone from the door of human hope and faith, and through the revelations and the demonstration of life in God has elevated them to possible at-one-ment with the spiritual idea of man and his divine principle love. And with this truth, we're safe from every bond of false belief, and find in simple trust in God relief from worldly dreams. You raised us up. Glory to God and peace to the struggling heart. It's time we look ahead undaunted. The Christ is here and we can receive the word. There is an answer if we want it. Christ has rolled away the stone from the door of human hope and faith, and through the revelation and the demonstration of life in God has elevated them to possible at-one-ment with the spiritual idea of man and his divine principle love. Leave the human in the tomb and find your life in God above.
All he needs is a couple more lessons and he can... We have a budding young organist to be. Let us now sing hymn number 58. Father, we thy loving children lift our hearts in joy today, knowing well that thou wilt keep us ever in thy blessed way. Thou art love, and thou art wisdom. Thou art life, and thou art all. In thy spirit, living, moving, we shall neither faint nor fall. Hymn number 58.
will read from the Christian Science textbook, The Scientific Statement of Being, and the correlative passages from 1 John, 3rd chapter. There is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation, for God is all in all. Spirit is immortal truth. Matter is mortal error. Spirit is the real and eternal. Matter is the unreal and temporal. Spirit is God, and man is his image and likeness. Therefore, man is not material, he is spiritual. Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore, the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.